Here from Fight Designer LLC, and I wanted to share some new toys that I've got. You may have seen the brief reel that I put up on Instagram, Facebook. I got some new swords that I actually ordered a while back over a series of time from Street Forge Armory and Damon Stith, who has been very active with the Historical African Martial Arts Association, HAMA, doing a lot of really good work in helping to diversify historical martial arts, sword arts, stage combat. I've had him as a Zoom guest artist in my class. He's been doing a lot of workshops. I got to finally work with him in person at Combat Con this last summer. So I was happy to support him and get some of his toys to play with. First up, the Nimcha. I think I'm going to have to do different videos for each of these. This is a North African style of sword. It was popular in like Morocco, that whole area of Northern Africa, also used by some of the Corsair pirates, things like that. And it is a single-edged sword with a really distinctive guard, which is often highly decorated and beautiful. These are I requested steel blunts, it's basically like a falchion or a messer, although without the nagel, the guard that sticks out the side of a messer to help protect your knuckles. So the obvious features of this are the distinctive pommel. It almost looks like some of the Filipino knife or sword forms, where it is an extension of the wood and not metal. And the guard, of course, with all these great little hooky bits, which those of you who do rapier and dagger will recognize some of like the crab claw kind of parrying dagger bits that love them or hate them are really good at catching an opponent's blade in a bind. So, comparing this to some of the other stage combat swords that I have, here we have a left-handed cutlass from Baltimore Knife and Sword, which I haven't actually gotten to use on any gigs yet because there's not as much call for left-handed swords, but I got a good deal on it. I couldn't resist. I have some right-handed ones too, but they're a little more curved. This seemed like a better comparison. So, they're both steel. They're both single-piece blades, but Baltimore Knife and Sword generally welds their construction and has a leather grip wrap over the tang, whereas these Street Forge are slabs that are riveted onto the handle, and the guard is all one piece with the blade. So both of them actually ring fairly well, but at slightly different pitches. So if I dampen down the BKS blade, you can hear the kind of darker, heavier sound of the Nimcha. If I dampen the Nimcha, you get a little more dominance of the higher pitch, lighter pitch of the BKS blade. Some of that may just be it's a thinner blade and a longer blade, I don't know. At the moment, at least until anything loosens up, they both ring fairly well, not obnoxiously so. And they seem to be fairly comparable hardness, which is great because one of the things that I was asking Damon for was something that could play nice with my other swords, whether it was a Rogue Steel or Baltimore Knife and Sword or something else. Here's another falchion. This is a single-handed one-edged falchion by Purple Heart Armory, one of their steel training blades. You can tell it doesn't ring as nicely because it's not welded. It is peened, although it's fairly new, so it's not loose the way that some peened blades get over time, like some of my Hanoi Practicals that just kind of clack because they're loose. But again, fairly comparable hardness. Fairly similar feel. I mean, this is a slightly longer blade, but it has the steel pommel counterweight, whereas the Nimcha does not have the counterweight. This is a little bit pointy. I'm gonna have to grind this down. For my part, this is just not a safe tip. The edge is not bad, but I'm gonna need to round off the tip a little bit more to make this one something that I feel safe renting out. And there's some corners on the guard here that I might need to round off a little as well, just so somebody doesn't scrape up their knuckles on it or something like that, because they're a little squared off still. But that's fairly easy finishing work to do. Again, being riveted wood slabs onto a single piece of steel, this is going to be super solid and should be pretty reliable. I haven't really gotten to play with these in context yet, but I've got to say that there's a lot of interesting potential, both for intentional and unintentional traps with this kind of a guard. But I really miss the nagel that you have with the European messers, because yes, while you can trap a blade in here, your knuckles are not safe. So while I might try to do a bind and catch intentionally, I don't have anything protecting my knuckles from getting caught up in that, even if I'm in a saber grip towards the back here, this could still potentially, well, not so much on the outside one, but in this one definitely come back to bite me in the knuckles. It is an interesting guard though. It's got this definite cutout towards the back. So while you can choke up on the guard like you might with most European swords or Japanese swords, Chinese swords, it does also kind of almost ask for you to slide into the back and let your pinky just live in that groove, which allows for the saber grip instead of the hammer grip. Does keep your knuckles a little bit safer, gives you another, you know, 1.5 inch of reach on that, which is kind of nice. No, it's got some good flow. It's not curved like a saber. The hilt feels like it kind of wants to be a saber, but in that sense, it's a lot like a lot of the falchions, like the two that I just showed, where it is single-edged and it does have some of that slicing, chopping kind of feel, but it is a straight blade, so it can also certainly thrust just as well. And you could do some point work, which again brings me back to the comparison with rapier and dagger. And so I've got to assume that some of those binds that you get from doing point work are why these guards are here, because this kind of a trapping guard really doesn't come into play unless you're doing doing binds with the blade. You're not going to catch that from a slice that's coming really quickly. You're not going to just trap it there right away. That's going to be something where you catch the blade first, jam it in there to try and bite into one of those traps. And then have a leverage advantage to be able to counter. So, a fun style. I do think that this particular one, more so than the others I got from Damon, is going to need a little bit of more refinishing to make it work for me for stage combat. But I think the steel is good. I think the overall finish is fine. Just needs a little bit of rounding off, both with the tip and the guard. And it'll be good to go. And I love being able to have a little bit more diversity in my offerings, so that people who are not just interested in European lineage can feel like they have options when I'm being an armorer for a production, and or even just in class, being able to offer some of these things, so that if I do a sword and shield class or something like that, I have other options that people might feel more connected to. That's valuable to me. So, thanks, Damon. Glad to finally get these and get to play with them. I'm looking forward to getting to play more. I'll probably have a stage combat class in the spring, so I'll get to have plenty of time to finish these off and try them out then. And I'm looking forward to it.